Hello there, and advanced warning, this episode contains spoilers for Star Trek Picard Season 3 Episode 1. If you've not seen it, go watch it because, oh my god, it's good. Now, I'll go on record as saying I've not been the biggest fan of New Trek. I am old school Star Trek. I do like Discovery. I've grown to like Lower Decks. I kind of still working up to Prodigy, but Star Trek Picard, I didn't really like it at first. First season, I was on the fence. It was probably my least favourite Trek up to that point. But it has grown, it has got better with time. Like a fine wine from Chateau Picard. This episode is going to be my speculations about the episode titled The Next Generation. Before we get started, please like, share, subscribe, comment down below and hit the bell notification icon if you think you like this video and you want to see more from this channel. This channel is currently growing, and anything that you guys can do to help me help it grow is greatly appreciated. So if you haven't subscribed already, please do so. And with that said, let's get into the speculations. The first bit of speculation is about Raffi. Raffi is now a disgraced Starfleet officer, given a dishonorable discharge, but she still seems to be working for the Federation, at least some branch of the Federation, connected to intelligence and security, which she is reporting to an unknown, faceless figure trying to recover some stolen technology. Now, who could this be? My speculation, as I'm sure yours was, is this is Section 31. I mean, it has to be. It could be Starfleet intelligence and not be Section 31. They might not be involved at all. But it could be. It feels like Section 31. Which brings me to, did they arrange for her dishonorable discharge so they could recruit her? Or is it all a smokescreen? Is she not really out of Starfleet and it's just part of her cover in case anyone does check? Both are equally plausible. Let me know what you think. But she does seem to be working for some faceless organization, and she doesn't know much about them herself, but it is alluded to that it is Section 31. The next bit I want to bring up is Captain Liam Shaw of the USS Titan A. Titan A, nice looking ship I might add, although I do prefer the Luna class version. I don't quite see how this is a refitted version of a Luna class, which is what it indicated in the story and in the dialogue between himself and Captain Riker. My feeling was more likely they've just reused components from the Titan in this new ship. But time will see. That's not the issue. My thing is we're introduced to Commander Seven of No, Hansen. She corrects them because she can no longer go with the name Seven of Nine. Captain Shaw wants her to go by her human designation, Annika Hansen, something she is visually uncomfortable with, as her chosen name is Seven of Nine. And for the analogy, Annika Hansen is her dead name, and he's making her go by that name. He showed blatant disrespect to Admiral Picard. Retired or not, you show an admiral the same respect, retired or not, that you would show to a serving admiral. He didn't meet him at the dock. He'd already started eating when they finally met for dinner, and he was rude about Picard's present. He then made what could be seen as a racist comment about Seven of Nines and Locutus's Borg history. In other words, how Annika Hansen and Jean-Luc Picard were both former drones of the Borg collective. It seemed a bit like a racist statement. What do you think? It's what I thought. It's what I read into it. I don't know if it's okay to be racist towards the Borg, but he certainly doesn't seem to like them. And as I said, he was openly disrespectful towards them and accused her of loyalty towards a former Borg colleague. Now we get to story elements revolving around Dr. Beverly Crusher, who we learn no one from the original senior staff of the USS Enterprise D has spoken to in 20 years. She cut everybody off. That's a little hard to believe with Picard being an admiral and everything, but maybe it was only, I interpret that as on a professional level there were memos and emails or whatever sent between the two, but he couldn't get any personal contact. It seems unlikely she'd be able to cut off an admiral without, there being repercussions, but whatever. Sidebar that. She has cut everybody off for 20 years and now reaches out to them for help because someone's after her. Now we know that Raffi is looking for some lost technology. There are forces at work behind the scenes here. These two events have to be connected. They're not going to be in a vacuum. Space pun somewhere in there. But they can't be. The two events are connected. Somewhere along the line, these two events are going to collide. Someone's after stolen technology. There's terrorism against the Federation. Someone is trying to kill Beverly Crusher, who is aboard a ship which is hiding from something who managed to board her ship. Now, these people's appearance is deliberately disguised. They wear masks, their voices are scrambled. A bit like the Breen, but I don't think they're Breen. My out there theory is that these people are actually human, but are disguised in their appearance. Their bodies are completely vaporized, so there was nothing left to be analyzed. And the ships, I mean, they could be anything. But circling back round to it, Raffi's working for Section 31. This could be another branch of Section 31, or possibly even rogue elements of it, trying to recover whatever it is. Maybe Crusher's got it, or she knows where it is, or she knows maybe who's got it, or she knows something. It's got to be more than that for them to be trying to kill her like this, but there's something. Or they're another faction trying to get it. We also don't know that the little ships and the big ship are actually connected together. They could be separate. They look kind of visually distinct and similar, and also there's a bit of an uncanny valley thing that anyone else get from the large alien ship, and I'm going to say alien, which I'm going to get to in a moment, but maybe alien, which appears out of the nebula right at the end. It looks a lot like this ship from 200 years plus, 250 years actually, previously encountered in 2151 by the NX-01 Enterprise. This vessel was attacking alien ships across the sector and harvesting enzymes from the crew that were being sold as narcotics. Just saying, we got Raffi, former addict. Not saying there's a connection there in any way, but Uncanny Valley looks kind of visually similar. It could be the same race. Or it could be not connected at all and just as an aesthetic similarity and I'm seeing something that isn't there. But they do kind of look similar. And by circling back to that ship, am I sort of positing theory that this vessel is actually Section 31. Section 31 builds ships that in usually silhouette look kind of Federation-y, like the USS Vengeance, for example, and other ships that have been seen in comics and other elements. We also know that the modern Trek likes to borrow from some better made fan films like Star Trek Axanar and Star Trek Renegades. And in Renegades, the ship, which by the way is made by Tim Russ, it's an awesome mini movie. The ship in that is, I assume, the HMS Icarus is a former Section 31 assault vessel of some kind, which is all pointy and angular. Now, typically in Trek, pointy and spiky means bad. But another thing that doesn't appear on pointy and spiky, which this ship is, which is interesting, are deflector dishes. Look at Klingons, look at Romulans, look at the Dominion, look at the Borg, look at the Kazon. They don't have main deflectors on their ships. They do have deflector dishes, they have to have in order to use warp, but they don't have big deflector arrays like the Federation have. This ship, underneath on the ventral side, has a big deflector dish. Quite prominent and very noticeable. It's not like humans and the Federation are the only people that do this, but it's noticeable. And again, going back to what I said, Section 31 built Federation-y designs, which aren't Federation. In silhouette might look it, but aren't. This ship doesn't look remotely Federation, so I could be well off the base. But with how Section 31 are involved here, Section 31, it would not be beneath them to have to eliminate a Starfleet officer or even destroy a Starfleet ship if it served the greater good. Because they're all about sacrifice if needed and killing and doing what has to be done. And if what has to be done is Dr. Crusher has to die, then Section 31 would do that. They're not just purely going to always go, well, that Romulan senator might start a war between us, we'll eliminate him. They're not always going to be like that. Sometimes domestic issues also have to be addressed. Section 31 is not wholly a good organisation, although I don't really want them painting with a brush of they're just super villainy because they're killing Starfleet officers. There's always going to be more to it than that. It's always going to be more complex. But sticking with Dr. Crusher, she has another son. Now who is this? We know that Wesley Crusher obviously is her son. He is a son of Jack Crusher, and there's been a lot of speculation that perhaps actually Captain Picard was the real father of Wesley. Not true. That's not true. That's never going to be true because that's not the kind of person Picard was. But Is there more to this episode title being The Next Generation? We've already seen LaForge's daughter. We already know it's sort of passing of the torch kind of season. Are we looking at here this being Picard's son? Stay with me. There's been references to, in this episode, Picard's legacy. Laris mentions that both him and Dr. Crusher at one time attempted to have a physically intimate relationship. He says attempted being the operative word, but that doesn't mean they didn't get smushy. It just means that a relationship didn't work. Are we looking at potentially Picard's biological son? Maybe. I don't know, but it was the first thought that went into my head, and it does make me wonder, because we're talking about legacy, and we're talking about passing of the torch, and we're talking about the next generation. It's just a thought. And that might make him a lot more inclined to help Dr. Crusher. And it also might go a ways to explain why she cut them all off for 20 years. Not that this guy only looked 20 to me, he looked older, but just because he's older in real life doesn't mean that he can't be pretending to play someone who's about 20 years old. I'm just saying. So there we have it, my speculations about things from this episode. I'm probably well off the mark in a lot of this stuff, and I'm not sitting here going through every Easter egg we saw in the show, because there were loads of them. Obviously lots of things in on Crusher's ship, lots of things in Chateau Picard again. We had all the little Enterprise Ds, which are clearly Eagle Moss models, which I really loved. By the way, I'm just saying, the fat one, I've got 2 of them. Those ships are beautiful. The Enterprise D is a work of art. Yes, it looks like an ugly duckling, but the ugly duckling grew into a swan, didn't it? So we're at the end of this video now. If you enjoyed it, please like, share and subscribe. That's my dogs barking in the background because someone's at the door, so I've got to go. I'm sure most of you are aware that the actress Annie Wershing passed away this year on the 29th of January. Far too young. I just want to say my condolences to her family and to the Star Trek community. We lost a fantastic actress and beautiful woman. She actually started out her career in Star Trek Enterprise and ironically ended her career in Star Trek Picard. Very sad that she passed away. Rest in peace. I'd just like to say a thank you to everyone for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoy making these. If you did enjoy it, please consider giving a like, share and a subscribe, and maybe checking out the other videos on the screen right now, and in the description box below there are links to my other social media accounts.